AEW Dynamite is shifting to TBS in 2022 as All Elite Wrestling expands to have AEW Rampage that will debut on Fridays. So they'll have a second show be an hour long, saying it's going to air at 10 p.m. on August 13th. So right after Friday Night SmackDown finishes, Rampage will come on, 1 hour show. Now, it's there as like an extra show. Obviously, it's going to take place on TNT and Dynamite moving to TBS. Now, this has a lot to do, obviously, with the NHL. They've come out and said that the NHL has caused this little bit of a shift, even though they said it never would happen. Tony Khan, a few weeks back, it's obviously happened right now. So they're moving to TBS on Wednesday nights, staying in the same time slot. Now, a second show is what they've always needed. An hour long is kind of short, but at least it's something. Taking place at 10 p.m. on a Friday may not get the best ratings in the world, but it's there and it won't go head to head with SmackDown because obviously they don't want to do that. So the story comes out here. Turner said Wednesday that TNT's wrestling series AEW Dynamite will move to TBS in January of 2022. The move comes as TNT is adding the new hour-long series AEW Rampage will debut August 13th at 10 p.m. It too will relocate to TBS with Dynamite in 2022. So now they have two shows, one coming out on TNT, but until January of 2022. So they have from August of this year to January 2022 to be on TNT, but both shows are relocating to TBS. So this is an interesting story here. Now, when I first heard the story, I thought that one was going to be on TNT and the other was going to be on TBS, but they're both going to be on TBS. That obviously shows you how they feel about AEW, I think, because they're going to move them to a lesser network, even though it's in the same brand. TNT is the bigger network than TBS, and you may just compare the programming in general. They don't really show a ton on TBS. Sometimes they show baseball, but that's pretty much it. Now, maybe they'll show hockey, but I think, the issue is here, how do they see AEW now? Because they did make the big switch to TBS. They'll get a second show on TNT, but only for a short amount of time. It's only an hour long and airing on Fridays at 10 p.m., which they probably don't have much programming anyways other than NBA games or whatever the case may be. Now they're going to do AEW on both shows on TBS. I don't know how good this optics of this is because they're dropping from a smaller network. It's similar to, I would have to say, being on USA Network and then getting dropped to Sci-Fi or whatever the hell other channel is part of the USA branch, NBC Universal. Let's say you went from NBC Primetime to USA Network. So it's that kind of fall from grace right there. So I'm not sure. This doesn't sound like a good thing. It says right here, both TBS and TNT have an incredibly storied past with wrestling. So for being able to put more AEW onto TBS was a natural fit. For me, being able to program these networks as a portfolio gives me the latitude to put them where it makes most sense for the consumer. Did the NHL have anything to do with it? Sure. The NBA had something to do with it. We felt TBS had an opportunity to be the best platform for expansion. All right. Yeah, this doesn't sound all that great, to be honest with you. It seems like they took the NHL on and the guy who got the short end of the stick was AEW. So they'll move to TBS. It'd be interesting to see how the ratings progress on TBS. It's interesting. It's all Warner Media in the end, but the optics of it, TNT's a bigger network than TBS. TBS known for having Thunder previously and having, the Saturday WCW tapings as well. The Saturday wrestling event for WCW. Not two of the biggest things ever. They felt like secondary stuff. So it's not really a good look. I mean, it's not looking good for AEW in the sense of their optics going forward from this. But let's get to the next story and stay on the same thing. AEW reportedly receiving big money from expanded Warner Media TV deal. AEW is reportedly receiving several $1 million under the new expanded TV agreement. Financial terms of the extended agreement have not been revealed as of this writing, but PW Insider reports that word making the rounds that AEW is receiving in the area of an 8-figure payday from Warner Media, which would be anywhere between $10 million and just under $100 million. The news is seen as a positive within AEW. There's also a feeling that this is a way to increase AEW's footprint on multiple networks and additional content to produce. It was announced in January 2020 that AEW and Warner Media had extended their TV deal for Dynamite on TNT through 2023 and agreed on a new series that is now known as Rampage. Sources reported how that extension was for 4 years and $170 million, or just under $45 million per year. The deal reportedly included an option for TNT to re-sign AEW in 2024 at a significantly increased price. So now it says here they have till 2023 Dynamite on TNT, but they're obviously switching that up, giving them a lump sum of money, kind of change things up and put them on TBS. Again, this looks kind of strange. In terms of the optics, again, it's all Warner Media, but one is a bigger network than the other. It will be super interesting to see, but at least they're getting a second show. That's one of the things I talked about in my AEW. The problem with AEW video, I put that up in the corner over here. You guys check it out. Was that they have too much of a big of a roster for the one show. They need another show. It's only an hour long, but I think it'll help. Now, again, TBS. It's just the optics of it. TBS isn't a great network. It's a kind of a C network. So in the Warner Media umbrella, it's one of their C networks. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Rampage will be on TNT for a few months, but then making the switch as well. So they're getting big payday for this. They're obviously excited by the paycheck they're getting, but again, it doesn't look all that great with it changing to a smaller, lesser renowned network like TBS. But let's get to this next story here. It has to do with NXT. Jessamyn Duke and Vanessa Bourne released by WWE. Jessamyn Duke and Vanessa Bourne are no longer with WWE as they were released by the company today, according to PW Insider. Duke was obviously an MMA fighter, part of the Ronda Rousey crew, and Bourne signed with WWE back in 2016 and worked in NXT. There was in talks in 2020 January, it was reported that WWE had plans to call her up to the main roster, but those plans were nixed. All right, so they have those releases. Then we have more releases coming in NXT. Alexander Wolf, Skylar Story, Kavita Devi, and Ezra Judge are no longer with WWE. The biggest thing here, Alexander Wolf. Now, he was on NXT this past Tuesday, last night, and he got kicked out of Imperium. So now we see as to why. Now, they had the story with Alexander Wolf, Killian Dane, and it kind of ended kind of weird and abruptly. This is exactly why he got released. So a lot of releases coming from NXT. They do have a big roster. I'm hearing rumors that Diamond Mine could be another show that they're getting, maybe a network show. And that's another way to have more of their roster showcase, because they do have a large roster of individuals in NXT. Case in point, Jessamyn Duke, who hasn't been showcased whatsoever. Marina Shafir has not been showcased either, part of that 4 horsewomen group. So, obviously they weren't being used whatsoever. So Jessamyn Duke gets the axe here. We'll see what happens with Marina Shafir. She is married to Roderick Strong, who's still currently employed as well. So we'll see what they want to do there and what's going to happen there. But some big NXT firings going on today, let goes. So, we'll see how the brand progresses and if they do anything else to kind of change things up. Yeah, we'll see if there's any more releases coming in the next couple of days. Seems like they want to kind of cut down the roster. It is a little bit bloated on NXT, and a lot of people you never even seen or haven't even been seen on NXT. And then since they're not traveling, doing these local untelevised shows, they can't have all these people on and out there having matches, because the only thing they have out there is televised NXT events. So that's what's going on there in NXT. But Alexander Wolf is a big one. He's part of Imperium. They just kicked him out. Now you know the reason why he got released today by WWE NXT. So that's the news and rumors for you guys today, May 19, 2021. Obviously, big news on AEW and some releases coming from NXT. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you tune in tonight for our AEW Dynamite review and reaction right after the show. Then tomorrow, Thursday, 7:30 p.m., more wrestling news and rumors. Drop the like on this video. Helps out with the YouTube algorithm. Hit the chair in the corner before it hits you first and sub to the channel. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.